Welcome to the Under God Project podcast. Today is a very special day. Together we accelerate America to be one nation under God again, and we are here in an amazing place, and it's been a little while. I'm going to let Jen do a lot of the talking here in a second, but we're fast and loose like we are in a lot of ways. Today we're actually podcasting from the American Journey Experience. And so the American Journey Experience is a wonderful museum, the largest private collection of American artifacts outside
and documents
of the Smithsonian. Yeah, before 1812, outside of the Smithsonian. So it's kind of a mouthful. But today we are kicking off a new initiative, our S'mores and Stripes initiative. We're combining the two things that we've got. If you've been following us, you kind of know what we've been doing over the past little while. But we're combining S'mores and Stripes and Under God Project into one big thing. We're celebrating America's 250th with S'mores and Stripes, the Great American Family Road Trip in a 57 Chevy. So we will be doing a whole lot of new and exciting things. And part of that is the way that you're about to experience it right now. So we're about to trip all over it, okay? Yeah. All over again. So
it'll feel like the very first time, even though we all know it's not, but it's going to feel very much like that. So bear with us, be patient, and just know that there will be speed bumps.
There's going to be speed bumps. Okay, but before we do too much, I have a very special guest, and you will see that in a second. But we will be interviewing a descendant of the one and only Thomas Jefferson. Ooh. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for this podcast and this conversation. Just to explain a couple of different things. Can I show my shirt? My shirts. First of all,
this will be coming on the store very shortly.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Jen always does a great job with our T-shirts. Just an amazing job. So you can see it on her shirt, but mine says, it's the S'mores and Stripes logo, but then it says America's Pit Crew. There it is. Oh. There.
Even that's hard to see.
America's Pit Crew, and then check out the back. You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. Got this. Oh, you gotta move your microphone.
I gotta move my microphone.
Yeah, I gotta move it. Try that again. Okay. So if you can see, we've got like a Washington-esque figure over there, and then another colonial congressman. They're roasting s'mores because why not? When you are S'mores and Stripes, you have to have a s'mores element to what you're doing.
So there's definitely gonna be some more on the road tones and feels to what we do. So we're taking these conversations.
It's going to be a lot more relaxed. We're going to have a lot more fun because although we've been having fun, it's just not showing enough. So we need to make sure you see it and enjoy it as much as we are. So we're taking this baby on the road. Can you believe it, guys?
On the road.
And in doing so, we are going to be expanding to the nationwide audience of all the descendant groups, and it's going to be amazing. So amazing. I'm so excited.
It's been amazing as it is so far, but what I'm going to do right now is get connected here.
This is the beginning. Like you said, we're going to be tripping over things, and I have an echo.
Is there an echo? Hold on. I'm working on it. There it is. How's that? Okay. We shouldn't be muted. Does it say stop recording? We are muted. That's true. But you're getting this. This is not muted.
Oh, that's fine.
It's okay.
But we're still paused.
No pause. It's okay. All right, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to walk this way. They've given us permission to go into the vault. We're going to take you into the vault first, and then we're going to sit down with our amazing descendant now. So, Mike, do you want to join us, or do you want me to do this by myself? I'm on it.
I'll answer any questions.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. No, I'll do it. I'll walk you through it. He's going to let me do it. So, which is fantastic. Okay, check this out. So, um, again, this is the largest private collection of, and I just feel, hang on, I'm going to sit about that. Back up here. This is the largest private collection of American artifacts outside of, before 1812, outside of the Smithsonian. Mike, if you hear me say trip over anything, just correct me and I'll just correct myself, okay? So I don't want to get it wrong, but at the same time, it is very, very special. So um, we have, it requires a vault, okay, to hold these wonderful and precious artifacts. And so this vault contains very special things. The first draft of the Declaration of Independence, some Mayflower and Mayflower passenger and Plymouth colony items, very old, uh, very deeply providential, like deeply profound, especially for me. So I'm going to take you guys in, and then we'll do a quick tour walkthrough. I'm going to really just encourage you guys to go to americanjourneyexperience.com, schedule a time for you and your family to come and enjoy and experience the museum. Mike talks very fast, and it's awesome, and he'll walk you through everything that is everything you need to see. So this isn't even a tenth of what's available of available. About 1% of what they actually have. Like, yeah, okay. It's a lot. So here we go. Here's the big door. So what we're looking at here is we have a variety of artifacts that are just absolutely amazing. Now, some of these date back. This is the oldest, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the oldest artifact, right, that we have. Is that correct?
Oldest document in the collection.
Oldest document in the collection, 1492. Okay, so this is Ferdinand.
It's signed by King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella being the signature on the act.
Right. And this author is this what authorizes Christopher Columbus?
Still expellation of Jews in 1492 because the decree about him.
Got it. Okay, thank you. But again, 1492, very, very cool. Get a variety of things over here. These are some of my favorite things. And I'll be honest, I get chills every time we experience these things because of how special and precious they are. These are some of the Mayflower artifacts, and my wife and I have are Mayflower descendants, and so being able to see where William Brewster and um, uh, John Robinson descendants. And so to see that, to see and experience and to be able to touch some of those things are just an amazing thing. It's just profoundly historical. So let's see if we can get through some of these things, but I might take way too long. So a chalice found as part of the Mayflower colony just recently, actually. Can we open up that the Brewster? Yep. This is one of my favorite things right here. This is a Bible printed off of the William Brewster printing press. And this right here, I don't know if you recognize that, but that is the Brewster bear. Oh, that's exciting. For me, that's really exciting. That's really exciting because that is exactly what William Brewster, the Brewster bear looks like. It's his logo, right? It's his s'mores and stripes thing, right? Okay. All right. Oops. There we go. So there's a variety of other things here which are very special. This was made as a model. Uh, this was this is the monument to the forefathers, and it was the model that was made before the monument was completed to gather the funding for it. Correct?
That's
okay. Good. I'm getting it right. The signing of the Mayflower Compact. Just so many amazing, wonderful things. So again, I'm going to encourage you guys to encourage you guys to, here we go. This is what we're talking about right here. Okay. This is the first draft of the Declaration of Independence. It's a facsimile, so there's some history behind that. Mike and the people of the American Journey Experience here is going to tell you all about like what that is and how a facsimile works and all that other stuff. But this is his pen. This is Thomas Jefferson's pen, and this is what we're going to be talking. This will be the main subject of discussion for our discussion today with our descendant. I said Declaration of Independence, right? Because that's the Declaration of Independence. And then there's the facsimile as well of the Declaration of Independence right up here as well. Did I get that right? Okay. And that's the facsimile of the Declaration of Independence?
Made in 1820 by John Quincy Adams.
Thank you. Perfect. So there's just, when you're in the room and you're around the artifacts, you really do feel something deeper and more profound. So I'm going to take it back to Jen, and then I'm going to go get set up for our interview, okay? Don't go away, guys.
Sorry, guys. I'm here. Totally. I'm aware of everything.
I didn't realize you weren't there, babe. I'm sorry.
I was. I left for like 2 seconds.
Okay.
At least, hopefully, that only levered.
Where's the...
Anyway, you guys, this is an amazing opportunity because of where we're going and how we're doing it. This is something that nobody has necessarily done before. People try to do podcasts all the time, and people will do them in destinations. But the way that we're planning to do this is we are going in.
Okay.
Oh well, never mind. I guess I was talking, but
Hi, sweetheart. Do you want to connect here?
I will let Andy take over for a couple minutes, but I will be back.
Okay, so we're making seals right now. Making seals with families that have joined our that have come to the event, come to our S'mores and Stripes events, which are way fun. But here we have families that have made seals and signed compacts over right next to us here. And as you guys know, we make our compacts. We make our compacts fresh. And so they're, well, I wouldn't say fresh, but we make them by hand. Okay. And so I make them with, yes, exactly. But they come in a roll like this. And when they're done, they look like this. These seals that are on it are a seal signed by another compacted family. So a family makes their seal. They stamp it. No, I don't think so. They stamp it. Can you see it right there? Yep, it's going. They stamp it, that symbol that we are a family for God. What's up?
There you go.
Thank you. So then they make their compact. Woo. It's pretty digitalized. We'll come back to that part of the camera in a minute. But they also make seals. And these seals, it's really digitally thingy. Okay, let me disconnect and I'll reconnect. Okay, go back to you. Coming back.
Back to me. I'm still here. And I'm gonna go keep talking. Oh, the camera's all messed up. Guys, I'm really struggling here. It's okay. I don't know how long this is gonna take him. Oh, there we go.
That's why.
Are you good? I think he was on the Wi-Fi.
No, it's slow for some reason. There. Let me try it one more time.
Oh. It's okay. We can be patient, right, y'all?
There. So here we go, babe. You got it, man? Okay. So these are some of our seals that are made by different families across the nation. There we go. Come on. So what a lot of families like to do is a lot of families actually like to make several and then send them in, or just sit and do them because they're really, really cool. So I'm gonna show you guys how some families are making theirs today. Yo, look at that. Look at that. I love the blue, the black and the white and the red. Oh
Yeah,
wow, that
really
turned out
turned out
really
cool.
well.
Yeah, it did.
Super awesome. Super awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get ready. We're gonna go ahead and get set up for the podcast here in the next couple minutes. Okay, I'm gonna leave you back to Jen.
Good, because I wasn't done talking. Okay, back to what I was saying. Okay, so going to these destinations, the way that we're doing it is bringing with a Chevy, and the Chevy is our destination. You know what I mean? So we can go into any of the states, and specifically we're trying to hit the major cities that are founding cities like Plymouth and Boston and Gettysburg. I know that's not a founding, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they're monumental cities for a reason. So when we go to these cities, you're going to notice a theme. And each city, we will be finding people who are descendants of the particular events that happen there. So descendants of, if we're in Plymouth, we're going to be descendants of the Mayflower. And those who settled the Massachusetts area with Massasoit and I'm gonna butcher the tribe, so I'm not even gonna try the tribe that was there. And then we've got Boston and the Boston Tea Party and the congressmen from Boston, like John Adams. Pretty positive on that one. You can Google it because I'm not 100,000,000% right now, but that's okay. I'm also dealing with a cold, so bear with me. Really, this is a struggle day, but this is fun. I'm having a good time. Are you guys having a good time? This is very like winging it. We're not scripted at all. It's good time. Okay, so taking the Chevy with us and taking the Airstream allows us to have permanent podcast stations while still on the road and still being able to talk to people across the nation who otherwise, first of all, wouldn't hear of us, and second of all, are the people who don't really get the recognition that they need or deserve. So when we talk to people of the daughters of the American Revolution, the sons of the American Revolution, we've got the Civil War history descendants, we have Mayflower descendants, we have Utah Pioneer descendants, we have Oregon Trail descendants, we have Lewis and Clark descendants everywhere. We've got descendants everywhere, and not a whole lot of people are aware of them, let alone know that you can sign up to be a part of them if you have that bloodline that leads up to that ancestor, which we have multiple connections. If you need to know what your family history is, please feel free to contact us. We'll get you in contact with the right people to help you figure out if you have that lineage. And we're also really excited to hear who is in your history, who is your ancestor that you are so proud of and you're so excited to talk about, because we want to talk about it. We want to know who came over to America first in your family. When did your family become American? So I was talking to my grandmother, and my grandmother, she's 95, 96. She's young. I love my grandmother. Her great-grandmother, I think, I could be wrong, was a full-blood Paiute Indian. She's of the Ute Indians in southern Utah. And back when she was little, her family, the Utes, the Paiutes particularly, that tribe was struggling to survive. So they ended up finding the nearby settlers of the area, and in order to feed themselves, they would sell family members, for lack of a better way to say that. So my family, my adopted family, took her in and her little brother. And in turn, the mother was actually purchased by another family close by and was able to keep connecting with her children. And what they would do, the settlers of the town, they would raise the children. They'd give them all the things that they need, and then when they were done, they would say, "Okay, you can go. I'm not keeping you. You're not a slave. I'm just helping you to survive." So we are of that descendant, the Paiute Indian descendant, and it's really interesting to hear these kinds of stories. And then I go to find out that her grandmother, this one is her grandmother, came over from Wales, and she had this amazing recipe for heavy cake. And I'm like, what in the heck is heavy cake? I've never heard of heavy cake. So I'm interested in finding out more about this. This will be on a coming episode. I think we're going to do an episode on recipes, or family recipes, especially those from who came to America and brought their recipes and traditions with them. Those kinds of things are the ones I'm really excited about.
Ready? Are we going? Okay. Are we going? I think we're going. Good tell me we're going. There's no way for me to know that we're going yet. I don't have the phone yet. So if we're going, then we're going. If we're not, then we're not. Honey, are we going? What? There, my hand's too big in the screen. As mommy says, my hand's too big in the screen. Okay. So today, this is a new type of podcasting where we're combining some technologies here, and we've called it roadcasting. So today we're roadcasting from a 1957 Ford Thunderbird, and today inside of the American Journey Experience. This is an amazing thing because we've been able to walk through the museum, been able to see the first draft of the Declaration of Independence that Thomas Jefferson penned. Then we're able to have this a great discussion about who Thomas Jefferson was, the whole family, from a descendant herself. So I want to introduce my friend Caroline Powell and say thank you. Let's get started. You ready?
I'm ready.
Excellent. Well, Caroline, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can kind of get going from there.
My goodness, where to begin? My family's all from Virginia.
Uh-huh.
Been there for centuries, all in the mountains of Virginia.
Really?
Yeah. The Blue Ridge Mountains, I called home. When I go there today, it's still home. Though I've been in Texas now longer than anywhere else. I've been here going on 30 years. Married a Texan. My dad was military,
Uh-huh.
and my forefathers go all the way back to the Revolutionary War. So we have military in pretty much every generation that we needed military.
Mhm.
And so
Now-
married a military guy as well.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
I understand that your descendancy from Thomas Jefferson, it's through his sister, correct?
So my grandmother is a Jefferson, Forrest Diet Jefferson. Her father named her after a forest in France. He was there in World War I, and for whatever reason decided he liked the name of that forest and named his daughter that.
Wow.
So that was my grandmother.
Uh-huh.
And that same side of my family, I'm also related to Rutherford B. Hayes.
Mhm.
And we had a lot of rich history around the dinner table when I went to my grandparents'. I've always had a love for history, probably because of the family I come from. But I don't know. I just have a really deep love for American history in particular. And I believe it's because of the founding documents are all rooted in biblical truths.
Absolutely.
And so that has been some of the most interesting studies I've done in my life. It's studying those documents, and just like the Bible, it is a living document. And so today I'm actually the head of the Conservative Party for Texas.
Are you really?
Yes. And I'm actually working hard to bring back our foundation and our roots, working with a group of people that are common law judges and people that are actually teaching constitutional law and the intent
That's
of
novel.
the law. Yeah.
Well,
So-
talking about the intent of the law, right? And as I've studied Thomas Jefferson, to me, the things that stand out into my mind are nature's law and nature's God.
Yeah.
When I study Thomas Jefferson, you just see those terms just so much. What inspires you about Thomas Jefferson? What about being a Jefferson is important to you guys and your family?
So for me, I've always just thought it was really cool because of my love for American history and my love for our founding documents. I don't necessarily know that all of my family members and cousins share the same love.
Yeah,
Uh, so
it's common.
I don't know what it is about me, but
Uh-huh.
but I just to me it's so important, even especially where we are today as a nation, that if we don't rediscover our roots, then we have no purpose.
Right.
And then coming into a one world order is just kind of something that would be happenstance if we don't understand who we are and where we come from.
Right. Exactly.
So, and around our dinner table, with grandparents and everything, we learn, different stories that aren't so known about Thomas Jefferson today. And there was a period of time that people tried to shame me if I ever said I was related to him in a few years ago when lies were spread about that history. And I've been to Monticello many a times in my life, and I even saw history change at Monticello as years progressed, and certain things disappeared and were replaced with other things. And so, for me, preserving that true history, Thomas Jefferson was, even though today Abraham Lincoln gets the credit for being, uh, you know,
An abolitionist.
yes, abolitionist. Thomas Jefferson went against the grain. He educated, those that they called slaves, on his plantation, but they got to live in family as families, they got to keep families together, and he was really big on trying to keep families together. And something else that wasn't taught in our history was, even with the Native American Indians at the time, he had brought agriculture and was trying to teach them agriculture. And he actually didn't enjoy being a president, didn't even really want to be.
Really?
He was an explorer and he loved botany. And so the things that I've learned in my Merriweather,
Meriwether Lewis.
yes,
Yep.
was a good friend of his.
Yep.
And the Lewis and Clark expedition, he wanted to go on that expedition. He would have rather done that than been president.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is this something that comes from your family, or is this something that's just kind of generally well known?
This is stuff we talked about, the things that most people don't know about.
Right.
I also own some of my great grandparents' history books for the state of Virginia. And it tells a lot of different stories about things, Civil War and our foundation, that isn't taught anymore.
What types of what things are some of the things that are on your heart the most that you wish were taught more that aren't taught right now?
Just really, I mean, I'm a truth seeker.
Yeah.
So truth sets us free.
Yep.
And if people understood the truth about our history, even the truth about slavery.
Yep.
They say that we went over there and stole them from Africa, when all of the founding documents, if you're reading them, the British and the Dutch actually were buying them from the slave traders that were Africans. And it was one tribe in Africa overtaking another tribe and selling them off.
Right.
And so, I think just starting with bringing out truth.
Right.
Because then it brings us together as a people. And also to realize, people did things in different times that was just the average culture of the time.
Right.
So, no matter what we know about slavery today, we have seen it for generations. The first recorded slavery was the nation of Israel,
right,
in Egypt.
Right, precisely.
So, I think politicians like
Right.
to make a big to do over things that they want to make an agenda out of.
Oh, I completely
Yeah.
agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
And it's not any more prevalent than the first draft of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
What I love about the first draft is it helps us to understand the mindset behind the compromise. And so, although some of the language changes, I don't see that the meanings change at all. In the first draft, it says we hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable.
Yeah.
And then the verbiage changes. We hold these truths to be self-evident. And whether you jump into the arguments of the history or not, you can just see that that's what that word meant,
Yes.
right? And so throughout the rest, you kind of see that general theme. And and so Thomas Jefferson writes the first draft of the Declaration of Independence. Richard Henry Lee, and if you guys have been following us on the podcast, again, God makes families, families make nations, and so we look at American history through two lenses. One, a providential lens. So, if you guys need correction in your view of history, there's some books that I would recommend, which are like Jefferson Lies, and there's but just about any. There's The American Story. There's a bunch of books that I would recommend on that. I'll put them in the description below. I'm anxious to find out which books that you would recommend. But if you need some correction on your history, that's where you guys want to go. A lot of people do a lot better job of it than I do. However, building on top of that, what we do is we then take history from a providential lens, and then add our families onto that. Because as you can see through whether it's this experience or throughout history, God makes families, families make nations, and biblically centered families, providentially centered families, are the ones that this nation really it is really makes a big difference, right?
Yeah.
And so. So we've looked at that. So in leading up to to the creation of the Declaration of Independence, another family, the Lees of Virginia, proposed the Resolution of Independence. Right. So June 6th, 1776, Richard Henry Lee, after his family, after he went back home to the House of Burgesses, he said, proposed in the Continental Congress that these 13 colonies of right are and ought to be free and independent states. John Hancock says, okay, let's vote on it. And John Adams says, wait a minute, we should write a Declaration of Independence so we know what we're voting on, right?
Yeah.
And so enter Thomas Jefferson. He disappears for like 3 weeks by himself.
Yeah.
So term paper, right? So he writes the Declaration of Independence, and then John Adams, Benjamin Franklin. Now the Committee of Five were John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Jefferson. There's 5 in there.
Yeah.
I'm missing one. But I'm missing. Anyways, so there's
John
there.
Hancock? Was it Hancock?
Was Hancock in that? I'm gonna get corrected here. So
Yeah, we'll probably get corrected.
Anyway, these Thomas Jefferson writes the first draft, and then sits down with John Adams and Benjamin Franklin, and they say, okay, this is what we want. This is truly what's in our hearts. With Richard Henry Lee as well. This is truly what it means. Now, where are we? Okay. South Carolina, North Carolina, is Georgia's, everybody on the same page. And there's different maturity levels when it comes to what liberty for all, what inalienable rights mean to everyone. And so, although there's some language that changes, the meanings don't. And although time and history needs to be played out so that all of those things can fill, all liberty for all can be filled throughout all of the ages, the meanings don't.
That's right.
And so, so in one aspect, so I kind of let up all that to get to this one part. There's this one part of the first draft of the Declaration of Independence where Thomas Jefferson is vehemently calling out the King of England at the time about the slave trade, saying this is not something that we want to perpetuate on our nation.
Yeah.
And so, but in that discussion with Benjamin Franklin and John Adams, they're like, look, the beginning here is that all men are created equal and are endowed by their creator certain inalienable rights, among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So although it applies to everybody, we don't need to call it out that specifically here because we already said it,
Yeah.
right? And so it will take time because not everybody's on the same page, but we are,
That's right.
right? And so with that in mind, I wanted to kind of leave it open to you. What would you like to talk about with that?
Well, kind of you led up to, like I said, President Jefferson didn't want to be the president. He very much felt like it was his civic duty, kind of like we would serve jury duty today. And our foundation, we did not have career politicians.
Right.
We had people that were farmers and teachers and that were doing their civic duty. It was about just stepping up to be an American, to best lead America into the future, but keeping within those guidelines that were set forth by our creator. And all of our laws are I mean, if you said some of the books that I would recommend every American study the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers because those are the arguments that created our Constitution.
Yes, ma'am.
And we just had a case out of the Supreme Court a few weeks ago where I think it was Kavanaugh. I may be corrected on that, but actually went back to one of the founding documents from the 1600s that I think was from Maxims of Law, but he was pulling out law from the 1600s because these are sovereign God-given rights and laws that our nation was founded upon. And so when people understand the powers that be that are trying to take over our nation and have been so for a little while now, these are globalists, and they cannot have a people who believe in sovereignty because then number one, can't be controlled. Number two, we will have no core foundation, and so we can be kind of molded into anything they want us to be, which is actually what Hitler was doing with the youth of the time. And it's kind of scary because it's the stuff we've been seeing going on here in America.
Right.
And
Right.
that is why it's so important for Americans to get back to our foundation and understand that history. Because again, like I said, if you don't know who you are and where you come from, you can just be molded and created into being whatever someone with an agenda wants you to be.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
and that is the heart and core of why I do what I do.
That's
So.
amazing. That is so amazing. So, with and you said so much there. I'm trying to nail down into one of the things because I've got a couple of questions for you about that. Around the dinner table, grandparents, what type of you said that Thomas Jefferson didn't want to be the president at the time. Now, being the president of the time was fairly new. There were only two presidents prior, and the first one was George Washington, who's very well revered, and then John Adams, and the France had their independence. So Thomas Jefferson writes the American independence, the Declaration of Independence, but then he's instrumental in the French Revolution and the French independence.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of like, okay, I'm kind of done with this, right? And so then he goes and he's nominated to be president of the United States after John Adams.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a person was he? Was he quiet? Was he loud? Was he obnoxious? Was he shy?
We never talked about personality traits so much, but I always found it interesting because I kind of feel like I'm a lot like him because I'm really explorative and I love to travel and, I just like to explore and learn while I'm out and about exploring. And so he was that way. And like I said, he wanted to go with Lewis and Clark.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But he was also an inventor and he invented a cipher language.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about this. Yes.
That used Native American tongue for basically, he almost is kind of penned as the person that helped start the French Revolutionary War, too.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he had secret dealings between him and Lafayette, and there was one other person, I can't remember, but they were sending secret coded messages, and he had invented, I think it was the polygraph machine, but it's not the polygraph machine like we know now.
Okay.
But it was something for, oh, I'm going to draw a blank now on.
It's okay.
But it was for sharing data and
Okay.
something.
I
like the
forgot
cipher-
about
yeah.
the inventor whole vein.
Yeah,
So he does the
yeah.
swivel chair.
Yeah.
He does cipher languages.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that. And
Yeah.
you know, it's really interesting. We've done these podcasts like so many times. We were interviewing a guy who is a descendant of William Floyd, and he's talking about how docile William Floyd is. But William Floyd's not a spy. He's not a spy. And I was like, so what do you do for a living? He's like, I work for the CIA. Okay, yeah, it's hereditary. Okay, so exploration makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. So Thomas Jefferson really loved to explore. He loved discovery. Meriwether Lewis was a good friend, and so he executes the Lewis and Clark expedition. Wishes he could go, but can't. Tell us about what can you tell us about Monticello?
Monticello was a very unique looking structure for the time.
Right.
And it stretched out, of course, over many acres. His quarters for his slaves were, they were in rows, and they were houses. Like I said, he kept the families together. He was, the estate had just acres and acres of gardens. He was known to be very tall at the time.
He was tall.
He was, I believe they said he was 6'3".
Really? I didn't
And
know that.
my younger brother is 6'7". My nephew's 6'6". Or no, my cousin. So a lot of tall people in our family, so that might be why.
That is very cool.
Um,
I didn't realize he was tall. I never really
Yeah.
thought of Thomas Jefferson as no, but I guess you're right. I guess that's just something I never really explored. But that's
well,
really
and a
cool.
lot of people, there were not that many people of that height at the time period. So he
Yeah, that would. Yeah,
stood about a head
that's like
taller
George
than most
Washington
people, yeah.
height. Like George Washington, I think was like 6'4", 6'6",
Yeah.
something like that. And so yeah, those guys were huge.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Thomas Jefferson. I guess having thought about it, Thomas Jefferson's always portrayed as very slender.
Yeah.
Now
he liked wine.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He was trying to start a winery in Virginia. He wanted to make a, really big wine business in the state because it's a great agriculture state. So
It sounds familiar to me.
yeah.
Now he and John Adams were best friends for quite some time.
Yeah.
And they kind of fell out of favor for a while, and then they became best friends again. And they actually passed away within hours of each other.
Yeah.
As a family, what types of things would you guys talk about with that type of friendship?
Probably a lot about exploration. I know he was really into botany as well. I did not inherit a green thumb. My brothers got that.
Some things are not hereditary. Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't even know if he actually did it himself or if he just did because he was experimenting. I know he made several different versions of lettuce by mixing, I want to say it was maybe from Italy, but some seed he had brought back from over in Europe. And so he had made different species of lettuce, I think, and baby peas or something like that. So
I guess that makes sense. Having thought about it, because the thing that stands out to me, like I said, the thing that stands out to me the most with Thomas Jefferson is I've done the study that I have is nature's law and nature's God. And so to be somebody who loves to explore nature and someone who loves to explore botany, I guess that makes sense from my perspective. And now, from a liberty perspective, so what uh, what did liberty mean at the time, and what did you guys talk about around as a family around his love of liberty?
I think mainly we just talked about things. He was. I know it has been told in modern history that he was not a believer. You know, people say he was a deist or an agnostic, but
No.
every writing I've ever read about, even at Monticello, things that, his personal things that are there, he very much believed the Bible.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then he
Read
made
Jefferson
his,
Lies.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And one of those lies is
Mhm.
about the slave girl that it was actually his nephew was in love with and
Oh,
had
really?
children with. Yes.
Okay, so
So,
it's a Jefferson nephew.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was not Thomas Jefferson. It was his nephew. And
Because Thomas Jefferson's wife, I'm just not remembering it today, but she passes away, and Thomas Jefferson promised her that he would not marry after that,
yeah,
right? And so he was loyal,
mhm,
like which is really rare.
yeah,
But
it is.
so as a family, you guys talk about how nephew was promiscuous, but not necessarily
And not
Thomas.
necessarily promiscuous. He actually, it was told in my family that he loved this particular slave girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And from my understanding, they did have children together, but it was like, he was not allowed to marry her.
Oh,
So, anyway,
oh, okay. That's interesting.
yeah.
That's interesting. So
So,
there's a lot of there's so much I think to explore with Thomas Jefferson because there's the slave stuff, which is like okay, Sally Hemings and like all that stuff.
yeah.
But then there's all the things that all of the things that are. Why do you think he was chosen to write the Declaration of Independence?
Uh, I don't know if he was chosen to or if he just did. Uh, we didn't ever talk about that.
Really?
Yeah. We just knew that he did.
Uh-huh.
But if you study, there is a pastor, and I'm going to draw a blank on his name, but he was out of Connecticut. And some of the things that he was preaching is found in the Declaration of Independence.
I was just going to say that. So,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the thing. So we've got Thomas Jefferson's Bibles as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, if you need correct history, I would highly suggest that you get either the American Story or
Yeah.
Jefferson Lies. There's
Yeah.
a few others, but yes, Thomas Jefferson loved the Bible. He loved God.
Yes, he did.
He loved the Bible, and so he knew exactly where he came from, and exactly what he was doing. And he pulled out his favorite passages to basically be able to say, if there's, and I might get this mostly right, uh, if you were to understand who Jesus was or the New Testament was, let's pull out key things to show, right?
Yes,
Mainly to the Native Americans. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay. And so it is an introduction into the rest of the Bible. So it's not like, and so a lot of people will take a look at the negatives, like the cut out ones, and think that, like, no, no, it's the opposite. We're trying to
Yeah.
create a condensed version,
Yeah.
and that way we get you into the rest.
Yeah.
And so, do you guys have any, what types of things do you guys discuss at home about Thomas Jefferson's biblical center? Is that something you guys talk about at home, or?
Well, I know his Bible, he literally took an old Bible and cut out,
Right, yeah.
physically cut out
Uh-huh.
scriptures
Mhm.
to paste into what became the Jefferson Bible.
Correct.
And so to me, I kind of look at that like that was the first devotional. You know, because that's basically what a devotional is. You're taking pieces of the Bible and you're kind of making a separate book that maybe talks about that scripture or how that scripture applies for that day or
Jefferson devotional. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah, Jefferson devotional.
That's beautiful. No, that's exactly what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
when you study it accurately, like that's really what it is and what it does.
I do encourage people to go take a trip to Monticello because it's very cool.
Mhm.
He has a library in there. His room is, it was very cold though in the wintertime, and that was, I know they said one of the big things was trying to keep that home warm. But it's the structure, because you know he was an architect too. And a lot of the buildings in Washington, D.C., he designed from his trips back to Europe and, you know, back and forth. But he brought a lot of that architecture into his home. But one of my favorite rooms was the library.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just because the history and the books, I love old books.
Books, history.
Yeah, I am.
Are you an architect?
Actually, I am a travel agent is one of the things I do on the side. And when we go to, like, we were in Europe a couple years ago, and my absolute favorite thing is to look at the buildings. And I was actually drawing homes and floor plans at 9 years old.
See, it's hereditary.
Yeah, my mom actually gave those to me a few years ago, and so I still have them. But I don't know what it is about. I love buildings and structures, and especially old buildings. My husband and I were flipping houses until the pandemic kind of destroyed that market, but our specialty homes were the 100-plus-year-old homes.
See, and there's so much divinity in art, especially architecture.
Yeah.
When you really get to say, you know, because there's this postmodernistic architecture, everything's flat and square, and it pulls out the beauty and it pulls out the expression. And when you're around that so much, it just seems so benign.
Yeah.
And seems so lame,
Yeah.
right? For lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But when you're around architecture with columns and with obelisks and with expression, then you really, they're reminders of what of your divine heritage, because they're expressing things of they're expressing the things of the soul rather than just squares and triangles, like, you know. So
and everything was handcrafted. So I mean, it was just, I mean, you know what kind of effort it took to carve that flower, you know, on that piece of furniture.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely, the energy that it takes to really absolutely, and I
I
totally understand that.
Yeah, I even, in flipping 100-plus-year-old homes, we came to love the inconsistencies of the hand carving stuff based, you know. I mean, we can recreate those things today, but it's everything's perfect and uniform.
Yeah.
Where you actually, if you're really into it, like, you know, some people like me, you actually love those inconsistencies, because it brings the humanity into it, and it's like that was hand carved. Someone took, you know, months of hours out of their life, or even sometimes years, to do something like, and it just, I don't know. I see great value in the things of our ancestors, and that's why I love history.
Precisely. That's precisely why we make our compacts by hand, and they're always inconsistent. There's always something in it that the ink doesn't get through, that the paper's not straight, you know, all that other stuff. That you're absolutely right. It expresses the humanity inside of it. We are imperfect, and therefore, if something is perfect, it's not human, right? So there's only one perfect being, and it's none of us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He died on the cross, and so and he lives. But you know, but we are not, and and consistently seeing that imperfection shows art, and it really does show that the humanity of it.
Yeah.
So, well, what else would you like to talk about, Caroline?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
I mean,
what else would you like to know?
It's Thomas Jefferson. I guess we really could talk forever about it, because you know, again, so he was a Secretary of State under he was a Secretary of State and then President of the United States, and then he passes away. But during that period, the John Adams friendship, the rekindling of that friendship, um, they wrote letters for most of the end of their life, and uh, they rekindled that friendship, which I've had some friends come and go, some really close friends come and go, whether that's been through COVID or whether that's been through other things, and those things can be hard.
Yeah.
But to see two of the strongest minds of the founding of our nation, you know, break their friendship, but then see that come back together again, I think for me is just a real deep learning experience to be able to say that like, hey, some of our friends may wander, but maybe with time,
Yeah.
some things can come back together. And it's been a treat chatting
Yes.
with you, Caroline.
Thank you.
It's so wonderful.
I would like to share one thing with you that I have
Oh, please.
found super interesting just here over the past couple 2 or 3 years. Uh, I feel divine guidance often in my life, and I believe the Lord brings people together. And I happen to be friends with a Lewis who happens to be the very ancestor of Meriwether Lewis. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
you gotta
she's
introduce
actually
us.
in Burleson, Texas.
No.
And her name is Shanda Pierce.
Really?
Yes. I
Oh
don't
my
know if
goodness.
she'd like me to share that. Well, she'd probably be fine with it because we've joked a lot about how the Lord like brought us together because our ancestors were such good friends.
Oh wow.
And so we've been developing a good friendship.
Next podcast we'll have a bench seat so
Okay.
that we can all chat together.
Okay,
You know, 'cause
I'll
that
tell
would
her
be
because
that would
I'm
be
sure she
fantastic.
would be happy to come.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to. I was gonna, it's great because we do. I mean, the whole Meriwether Lewis vein is just a great thing because um, I know my dad. We homeschool. We road school, right?
Yes.
And
I
with
did
our
too.
boys, yeah. And with our boys, Grandpa loves teaching them about Meriwether Lewis and the Lewis and Clark expedition. And we were just in Tennessee, and so there's the whole Meriwether Lewis the trail,
Yeah, the Appalachian Trail.
there's the Appalachian Trail, but then there's this Natchez Trace,
Oh
the
yeah,
Natchez
yeah,
Trace,
yes,
right? So
yes.
I gotta
Yes.
process it in there. The Natchez Trace trail, which is just so much fun. So there's so much that history is so rich. Well, we got to have you back.
Okay.
We got to have you back with your friend Lewis.
Yes, I will
And
have
we
to
can chat
tell
some
her.
more.
Yeah, I will get her. I know she'll be thrilled to do that.
I would love it. I think it would be great. This would be a really awesome conversation because we got to get more mics. We got to expand our technology.
I've also got a good friend who is.
Oh no.
She is an Adams from Massachusetts.
What?
She is not an immediate direct descendant, but she said she is related. But
that'd
yeah,
be
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Let's rally the troops.
Yeah.
This would be a blast.
Yeah.
That would be an absolute blast.
And she's also close.
You're gonna make me study a lot.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I will ask them both if they would like to come and interview with you.
I would love to. Yeah, we would love to. That'd be great.
Yeah, she actually gave me a book not so long ago called Silence is Consent. And I don't know what led her to give me that book. She gave it to me at Christmas time. And I worked with her in local politics. And why she decided to give it to me out of all the people in our group, I don't know. But
because you're a Jefferson, that's why.
and she didn't know it at the time. But I tell you, that book was like, I mean, and the name of the book, I didn't know that it was going to be more about American history, but it filled in a lot of kind of the puzzle pieces that are missing. You can see the guidance of. I saw my family's migration out of Scotland and different places in Europe through this book that brought us to America. And anyway, I found it just incredibly interesting.
That is super awesome. Can I ask you a question? Have you ever seen the first draft of the Declaration of Independence?
I had not seen the first draft. I did see the original documents under glass at the Capitol in Washington, D.C.
Right. So that's the Declaration of Independence. Now um, not the scribe, but the person that writes things down. There's a word for that. He is Matlack,
Okay.
right? And so the one who wrote the words, right? Not the one who thought them, but the one who wrote them. That's Henry Matlack. So you're seeing his
Okay.
penmanship, right? As the Declaration. But the first draft, that's Thomas Jefferson's own hand.
Yeah.
It's his own penmanship. Now with the compact, as you guys know, they get a little feather pen
Yeah.
kit, right? And so we get to see our own penmanship. And surprisingly, not a whole lot of people know how to sign their own name with the pen,
Mhm.
you know. And so
Yeah.
we it's a really good introduction to calligraphy and penmanship and all that other stuff. But
Yeah.
I find that you see so much of a person in their penmanship. Seeing the first draft of the Declaration of Independence and the weight of what the definitions of such an important document mean, but also seeing seeing that it's Thomas Jefferson's own pen. What types of things did you feel or think as you saw that?
I don't know. I just thought it was super cool. I'm actually in the process of. Uh, I'm doing a lot of writing myself right now, and one of the things I'm writing is a book I started 30 years ago, and I got like maybe the first couple, 2, 3 pages done, and here lately it's all kind of flowing, and so seeing, and my original writings were in journals, so seeing that penmanship is, it's just, it makes it come alive. Like, I mean, this isn't computer generated. This isn't AI. This came out of the heart of the man. This is, what he was passionate about, what he truly, you know, his care for this nation and wanting to see this nation work. And if we look at all the warnings our forefathers gave us in all of those handwritten documents, we see left and right where all of these things were just like forgotten about, and then of course they stopped writing them in the history books, but it just really made it go come alive to me. Helped me to it helped me to see his heart in those writings.
Mhm.
So
I really appreciate how some things are written in larger letters.
yeah.
You can really see how when it's really important to him, it gets really big, and everything else is just so
Yeah.
important. And you can tell that there were several drafts that he made, and it was so much of something that came from him and from what he had brought from going to church and learning at church and learning in his family and making decisions at the kitchen table and bringing that to such an important moment in history. I think
Yeah.
it's interesting that you brought up that you're like, well, he may not have been necessarily chosen, but he's the one who decided to do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that we get tasked to do uh, sometimes start that way, and but yet end up becoming something so much more.
Yeah.
Um,
I very much understand that. Because I'm involved in one very big project right now with America's Future, and taking on the heart of what they're about. And it was a task assigned to me, but I immediately said yes because my heart is in it. But do I want to do it? Do I want to work it? I'd rather be planning someone's vacation and getting ready for my own.
right, right.
But yeah, and when I say vacation, I'm talking about a historical tour of some sort.
Yes, yeah.
Like when we were in Greece in 22, and while everyone else was at the spa and was shopping, I'm hiking through King Agamemnon's castle. So And then I'm going to Corinth to see where Paul wrote most of the New Testament.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I'm,
wow. Oh,
I'm
wow.
not the spa and shopping person.
Yeah, you're this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
You're
This
this kind of
is,
stuff.
yeah, this is me.
This is very much.
So,
yes, I totally understand.
yeah, but you know, I can understand how he felt like it was a calling larger than himself. And so I work with some groups in anti-trafficking, and yeah, not something I
Yeah.
want to do, but I know about the problem,
Right.
and
Right.
when I see that other people aren't stepping up to do it, it's like, okay. But I kind of feel like it would be like that was because I misunderstood a lot. People think that I love politics or I want to be a politician because I work in those areas,
Yeah.
but I'm just doing what I feel like I have to do for the betterment of my children and my
Right.
children's children's future, and I mean your children's future.
Yeah.
Uh, and but other than that, no, it's not. It's not my passion. My passion is actually teaching truth,
Yeah.
and then like I said, exploring. I love exploring.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, we're just these little people in this huge universe, and I mean, I want to understand how everything works. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a joy to chat with you today, and I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful, wonderful. I learned so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
And you're welcome. Please come back.
Yeah,
That'd be great. And we would love to have multiple like Adams, Meriwether Lewis, Thomas
I will
Jefferson.
call them
Just
and
getting
find
excited.
out.
Like this is exciting. But it's been wonderful. And it's families like the Jeffersons and as yours that set our nation on the right course. Always. It takes good families, courageous families, to set our nation on the right course. And so thank you.
You're welcome.
And we appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Well, we're going to have to figure out a way to close it up and all that stuff. So if Jen's on the other side, I'm going to have her pass it over. Otherwise, it's going to be awkward putting things away from here. So, but anyway, thank you for joining us, guys. We really appreciate you. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Speaking of awkward situations, the camera had turned off and now it's on the computer screen. So anyway, wasn't that a lovely conversation? I love listening to these personal conversations, these personal depictions of the family, and hearing it firsthand from their descendant of the one and original ancestors that we want to honor. And it's so exciting to talk about the one and only Thomas Jefferson and what his accomplishments were and how it impacted their family so much. To be talking about their ancestor in such a way that makes them excited and desire to learn more, not just about their family, but to learn more about their family history and why it's important that he did what he did and how they can further that involvement in their family and what else they can do and how else they can honor him, like joining these descendant groups is one of them, or sharing it with the rest of the world, because again, these kinds of stories are the things that can get lost in translation, especially in today's textbooks. People tend to take out the facts because they don't like them, and even though we don't like some of the facts, we can't be taking them out because it is still factual. We still need to know the story. I feel like we deserve it as the American people to know where these people came from and how normal they actually were and how extraordinary God made them. You know what I mean? So these kinds of stories are exciting, to say the least. So I love hearing these, especially firsthand. And that's exactly what S'mores and Stripes is going to be about. Hearing these stories firsthand from the car, the Airstream, or any of the podcast situations that we have. It is essentially this. Sorry. It is about hearing it firsthand from the descendant of the ancestor, and especially in those locations. So it's gonna be amazing, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited you guys get to go along with us, and it's gonna go everywhere. So be ready, be on the lookout for us, because we're coming to your town. Sooner or later, we'll be there, especially celebrating America 250. How amazing can that be? All right, we're going to be here in just a second. Andy's going to be joining us again. And then we'll see you soon. I think for now on, we're going to, from right now, we're going to sign off. But it was lovely to chat with you all. Thank you for listening, and thank you for listening to our guest today. And we're so excited to get started, guys. S'mores and Stripes. What? Brought to you by Under God Project. Have a great night, guys. May God bless you. May God bless America. And may God bless this American family. Have a great night.
That would be fantastic. Okay, I gotta jump.